Am I wrong for telling my dad that if he chooses to go to my stepbrother's graduation, then he better forget about me? I, 18 female, am an only child, and my parents divorced when I was 8. My dad remarried when I was 12, and for a while, everything was fine. But after a few years of living there with them, I started to notice that my dad preferred my stepbrother. They did more things together, and he started to ditch me to go to his games, his plays, his tournaments, etc. For every 10 things I invited him to, he only attended 1 to 2. His wife always gave excuses. Oh, my son is younger than you. They are really close. His dad is not involved in his life. And told me that at least I was lucky enough to have a dad with me, and specifically one who was willing to share his love. When I was 13, my mother applied for sole custody and won. Only then did I see my dad being hurt that I was being taken away. I started to spend time with my dad, but only if he picked me up to do it. He still missed most of my things, and I've always resented him and his family for it. Since this is my last year, I had a lot of significant activities. I had my last debate, my last volleyball game, I won best essay in my class, got into best 20 alumni, and finally went to pick my prom dress. Some, if not all of these things he missed because he was working or attending something regarding his family, and I can't have it anymore. My graduation is December 15th, the same as my stepbrother's elementary school, and when I told my dad, he said that he would see if he could make it, which meant he wouldn't, so I came clear. I said that while graduating elementary school is nice, I'm graduating high school and I'm on my way to university, so he can't really compare those things, and if he chooses my stepbrother's graduation, he better forget about me. His wife flipped and told me that I was taking my stepbrother's dad away from a big date and I was being a spoiled brat. I told her that I couldn't be a spoiled brat if I was being ignored the whole time and that I wasn't talking to her. My dad looked shocked, so I said that he could be there for once in his life or he could miss me forever and left. But now that I've cooled off, I started to feel bad. I love my dad to pieces and I just want him to be there for me too, and I surely don't want to hurt my stepbrother. I was wondering if I was being an asshole for acting how I did because he's paying half of my college fund and I gave him an ultimatum. Plus, my dad is not prone to confrontation while my mother and I are. Am I wrong for canceling the trip after my fiance decided to bring her 10-year-old son with us? I, 33 male, have been with Natalie, 32 female, for 2 years. We're getting married soon and she shares custody of her 10-year-old son with her ex-husband. Ever since her ex-husband got sick, Natalie kept bringing her son over more often. Sometimes her mom would take him due to work, etc. We've been having issues because of that because Natalie has to bring my stepson with us wherever we go. Yeah, that's kind of part of being a step-parent. Like, that's her son. What do you want her to do? Just leave him in the ditches? Like, duh, what do you mean? We started going out less and less. Since it's been a whole month since we've gone out, and since her ex has gotten better, I've arranged for a little trip to the beach for the weekend. It's supposed to be a couple's getaway. She was excited for it and prepared for everything. The night before the trip, she comes up to me and says, "Hey, Tom is sick again, and he asked if I could take Taylor to spend the weekend with us." I was gobsmacked. I asked what she told him, and she said that she agreed. She then proceeded to tell me that she'd like to take Taylor with us to the beach. I got upset and told her not to bother because the trip was officially canceled. You are really throwing a temper tantrum over her having to take her 10-year-old son? This is her son. This is not her brother. It's not her dad. This is her son. This is the person she's in charge of well-being for. Oh my God, you're supposed to be a stepdad. Like, why are you acting like a little kid? Ugh. She looked at me shocked, but I told her she shouldn't act shocked or surprised after she successfully ruined yet another opportunity for us to have quality alone time together. You don't get that as much as you want because she's a mom. Dummy. She went on about how she couldn't believe that I expected her to ditch her son since her mom was busy as well and getting a babysitter wasn't on the table. I just shrugged and I told her it was done and then I walked out. I went with the guys instead and she's been upset, saying I could have just agreed to let my stepson Taylor come with us and we would have had at least some family time together while Tom gets better. She said I was the one who screwed up. So am I the asshole? You're marrying this woman. This is her son. What? Dumbass.
I'm 40 and so is my husband. My son, 19 male, came out to us when he was 14 years old. My husband and I are both atheists and support the LGBTQ+ community, and we are both proud of our son for coming out. However, my husband's mother is a devout Catholic and is extremely intolerant of gay people. She's wealthy and my children were told from a young age that their college would be paid for as long as they attended private Christian or Catholic school. She believes this will keep them from partying, having premarital sex, etc. I don't agree with this and have argued that my children getting the best education possible regardless of the school's religious affiliation should be her top priority, but she refuses to change her mind. My son chose a Christian college one state over to attend. He graduated with a lot of college credit from taking many AP classes in high school and will be done in 3 years opposed to 4. He's currently just beginning year 2, which has been already paid for. During Labor Day weekend, he came home to celebrate his grandma's birthday. He told one of his cousins that he was talking to a boy at his college and thought that he could trust him. He seems supportive according to my son, but he told his mom and dad. My husband's sister and her husband are just as religious as my mother-in-law and added my son to her. She's livid and called me and informed me that she will not be making any future payments toward his tuition and told me to relay the message to him as well, as she will no longer speak to him. I have told him many times not to come out to his grandma, cousins, aunt, or uncle until he was through with college. I hate that he can't be himself, but my husband and I cannot afford his college. I don't like my mother-in-law and will be going no contact once my other 2 children, 15 female and 13 male, get their chance to have their tuition paid for as well. My son is okay with me waiting to do so for the sake of his siblings. He will unfortunately have to take out student loans and eat the cost of his final year. My son is obviously devastated he both will not have his final year of college paid for next year and that his cousin is not someone he can trust. He now wants me and my husband to foot the bill next year. We have $25,000 saved up currently that we plan on using for much needed kitchen renovations. Our oven barely works, our dishwasher doesn't work at all, and the kitchen itself is worn down and outdated. My son is calling me an a-hole for prioritizing to remodel over his education. We've explained to him that our kitchen is falling apart and it's much needed and is nowhere near the cost of his tuition. So even if we postponed it, we still would be short for his private school, which is very expensive. I feel like he's an adult and he needs to be the one to deal with the consequences, not us. Am I wrong for not using our family's savings to cover his remaining tuition? I, female 23, have been dating my boyfriend Jake, 23, since our freshman year of college. In our last year of undergrad, we decided to rent an apartment together. We split everything 50-50, including utilities, groceries, and rent. We continued living together in the same town as our college after graduation, but recently, we both got jobs in Chicago and we're currently living downtown. My dad works in real estate and has multiple investment properties. My dad generously allowed me to live in one of his properties rent-free, but he said that my boyfriend would have to pay him $400 a month for rent. My dad is very protective, but he has been nothing but kind to my boyfriend. My dad's reasoning for making my boyfriend pay rent is that he wants to make sure that my boyfriend is with me for me, and not because he will have a free place to live. Keep in mind, if my dad was renting this apartment to tenants, he would charge $2,100 a month for rent. Very ritzy building in the middle of downtown Chicago. My boyfriend is mad at me because he asked me for my half of the $400 rent, and I explained to him that I will not be paying the rent. My dad is only charging him. He says that we have been splitting the rent for the past 2 years, so why would we stop now? Our rent in our college town was $1,200, so we were both paying $600 a month. Our apartment in Chicago is significantly nicer and he's paying $200 less a month than when he was in college. Is the idea that my dad doesn't charge me for rent but charges my boyfriend so crazy? Am I the asshole for refusing to split rent with my boyfriend?
Am I the asshole for telling my fiance he embarrassed me by singing happy birthday to his son? I, female 30, have been with my fiance Ned, male 36, for a year and a half. He has a 5-year-old son with his ex-girlfriend and they don't have a custody arrangement, but he has him most of the week. His son is lovely, but I notice Ned takes him everywhere he goes, including places that aren't child-friendly. His son's 5th birthday was a few days ago and Ned took us to the restaurant to celebrate. It looked a bit unfitting for the occasion, but it was a somewhat expensive place. We ordered food, then got a birthday cake, which was a surprise to me because I thought we were celebrating at home. I had no issue until Ned started singing happy birthday to his son. Am I the asshole for telling my fiance he embarrassed me by singing happy birthday to his son? I was so shocked I almost dropped my plate. He was singing it at the top of his lungs and not looking around at how many people were staring at us awkwardly. I whispered for him to stop, but he ignored me and my future stepson was so hyped. I thought for sure a manager or someone would stop it, but no one did and a woman even asked if we wanted a video. He later asked me what was wrong and I said thanks for finally noticing. I told him he embarrassed me and he was shocked, saying he didn't get why I would be embarrassed by him celebrating his son's birthday. I told him it would have been more comfortable and free at home and he took it as I'm ashamed of him. He said that his son's mom is sick and he was just trying to cheer him up. Am I the asshole for yelling at my boyfriend to stop adding spice to my food? So recently I, female 30, have been staying over at my boyfriend 31 male's place more. We've divided up some chores, but the one thing he likes to do is cook. He really is a wonderful chef and all our friends enjoy the dishes he brings to parties. Whereas I will admit I don't know my way around the kitchen and have never taken the time to really dive into it. This is totally fine since he cooks, but his meals usually include too much heat. He cooks with a lot of spices, sauces, and peppers. I've asked him to tone it down time and time again since I can't handle that. Or at least add it last so that my dish will be fine. Am I the asshole for yelling at my boyfriend to stop adding spice to my food? He says that this will ruin the dishes and they won't come out as flavorful and be really lackluster. He also said that adding the spice at the end ruins the whole balance of it. I finally snapped the other night and yelled at him to stop making hot dishes I can't eat. He told me that I was always welcome to cook my own meals if I wanted. I don't see why I have to cook if he already is making the meal. He can just add less spice to it. That will add so much more time to my night when he is already handling that chore. So I just want to know, am I the asshole for yelling at him after adding spice too many times to dishes?